Hello, everyone. This is part 3 of my 3-part series on emergency preparedness. And today I'm going to talk about emergency planning, CERT. What is that? And then number 2, I'm going to talk about coming up with an emergency plan for your neighborhood. And number 3, I'm going to talk about ham radio. So the first part is what is CERT? And I'm going to just read to you right from their manual a little bit introduction. It says, following the events of September 11, 2001, Citizen Corps was launched as a grassroots strategy to strengthen community safety and preparedness through increased civic participation. Since then, the importance of preparedness education, training, and involving the whole community has become increasingly recognized as critical to successful community preparedness and resilience. Citizen Corps is administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is FEMA, within the Department of Homeland Security, but it is implemented locally. Communities across the country have created Citizen Corps councils as effective partnerships between government and community leaders to focus on the following objectives: engaging the whole community in a collaborative community planning and capacity building, integration of community resources, outreach and localized preparedness education and training, emergency communications to all population segments, drills and exercises, and volunteer programs. CERT is a critical program in the effort to engage everyone in America in making their communities safer, more prepared, and more resilient when incidences occur. So it actually goes on from there, but that probably is a great summary. So what would you do if you were interested in joining a CERT team? Well, first of all, a lot of larger cities have a CERT team already in place, and that's how I got started. I was trained by my community fire department, but now that I've moved to a more rural area, I do not have a CERT team available to me. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can still learn about CERT even if there isn't a team in your area. Okay, so I just did a quick search and I found that there is I actually searched for CERT FEMA. And there is, if you look really closely here, it says there is an interactive web-based course, and you will need a FEMA SID number instead of your Social Security number. And so this would be an online method for doing all of the CERT training. If you didn't want to do that, you could come here to, I looked up CERT FEMA PDF, and I found the CERT Basic Training Participant Manual PDF, and the entire manual is available for download. So that is another way. I was thinking maybe I would show you my manual. So here's my CERT manual right here. But it is quite the thick manual. So you're more than welcome to download that, or you can do it online. There are lots of great ways to get involved. So as I mentioned, the CERT team was not available to me because I am living in a rural area. So instead of doing a CERT team, I decided that I would make a neighborhood plan for just my neighborhood. And this would be a good idea for anyone that has the same predicament, or even if you don't, it might be helpful to come up with a plan for just your neighbors. And a lot of us like to get everybody's names and phone numbers and email addresses just for reference anyway, so we could check on one another if there was a big emergency. Let me show you some of my ideas. Okay, as you can see, here's my emergency plan. First step that you're going to do is secure your family and household first. You're going to assess the condition of your own home. If your home looks like it's unsafe, leave the area. If you do leave your home, please put a note on the door, or you can leave a note in a plastic or glass jar in your front yard and mark it with a white cloth so we can find it. When there's a disaster, communicate your status through your street leader. Sometimes texting will work even when phones don't. Use this emergency response form, which I will show you below. So if the phone lines are down, use a backup plan. And you can use a walkie-talkie or physically go to your street leader's home. So you're probably asking yourself, what the heck is a street leader? Well, we will get to that in just a moment. Let your family know that your home is safe. The first meeting place is the entrance to the neighborhood. Contact them within 30 minutes by phone or 3 hours if you can't do it by phone. If the crisis continues, meet at someone's house 12 hours after the crisis. So this would be a good thing for everybody to have a copy of. All right, let's see. Can I go to the next page? I'll just scroll. That's the way I do it. Okay. So here's the leadership structure. Street A, Street B, and Street C are going to be street leaders. They would report to the planning chief, and the planning chief would report to the team leader. If you were on Street D, E, or F, you would report to the logistics chief, and the logistics chief would report to the team leader. So the team leader has 2 people under him. It would be the planning chief and the logistics chief. And then all of the streets would go under those 2 people. All right, what does a team leader do? I'm just gonna let you read that. And the planning chief and secretary is gonna be the second in command, and then the logistics chief and administration chief are gonna be the other one. And then there will be a runner. These expectations are provided through the CERT team, so that's where I came up with these ideas. All right, the next section is a sample door sign. So what the CERT team or the fire department is going to do is they're going to check the time and where they searched, what rooms were safe or unsafe, the number in the house that are dead, alive, injured, and then the family name, or if it's a team, the team that checked the house. So if you're checking your own house, you can put your family name. And then anywhere on the page, you can put where the family is going. So you could put a piece of paper on your own door, then people won't have to check it. But if you don't do that, then somebody's going to go through and check all the homes if it's that type of a severe emergency. Responsibilities for street leaders. Secure your own family and household. Contact your team leader by text, phone, or walkie-talkie to establish communication. Make sure that they know you're safe and that you're planning to do your job. The people on your list would contact you by phone, text, or email, even Facebook, or physically go and find you. And so if you're a street leader, you actually have the biggest job because you're filling out an emergency response survey for each family. And then you're checking to see what their needs are, and then you give that information to the team leader, and they will figure out what to do about all of the problems. Here is the emergency information survey form. Put the name, address, and contact information of the head of the household and number of people in the house, names of injured house members and their medical status, name of any known to be deceased, name of those missing, condition of the house, physical and emotional state of the household members, needs of the household members. Please contact the following to let them know the status of this household. So we would probably put on there the name of the team leader, name and contact information of people who obtained the information. So the street leader would put their name on that. All right, team leader emergency worksheet. is going to have a report from each of the streets, and then a quick thing about the neighborhood, if there are any fires and where they are, or if there are any injured and where they are, water leaks. And then of course, this is even more of the same. And I believe that is it. There's a communication worksheet. You can add any information you would like. So this is for emergencies, and everyone that plans to be a street leader should have a copy of it. And so that's what I did in my neighborhood. I posted it on our Facebook page, and I gave a copy to one street leader for each street to check on the people on their street and then get that information up to a chain of command. So that way we're already prepared when something happens. My philosophy is, if you have a plan, it'll never happen. So that's the goal. All right, folks, now is the best time to ever try and get a ham radio license. What is ham radio? Well, here is a handheld ham radio. And when I was a kid, these did not exist. So these are awesome because this is about $25. And then I bought an extra antenna, and I bought a couple of extra batteries for it. So I probably spent like $100 total. They used to be at least $500 to $1,000 for a ham radio. So this is really awesome because now is the time we can get a ham radio, and it's way cheaper. Now, the next part of this really awesome is that you can talk to people all over the world with ham radio. Unfortunately, this might not be able to get it all the way across the world, but you can buy bigger and more expensive radios to be able to do that. So what does it take to get a ham radio license? Because you do need a license in order to talk. Now, you don't need a license if there is an emergency and you're trying to save someone's life. But if you've never had a ham radio before and you've never practiced with it, then it would be really hard to know what to do in an emergency. So it's much better to get your license. And unfortunately, it is hard to pass the test if you don't know anything about electronics, electricity, radio, signals, and all this stuff, which I had no idea about any of that. And some people said if you can memorize just quick facts, then you can do this really quickly. But I am not a memorizer, so that was not an option for me. I purchased a book, and it was a manual, very thick manual like that other manual is. And it had all of the questions that would possibly be on the test. So there are like 425, I think, questions that might be on the test. And then when you do take the test, it's only 35 questions. So of all those things that you've memorized, they're going to just test you on a few questions. And then you can either get your license or you can try again later. But I took a month to get ready for my test, and I studied very hard. So the reason that now is the best time to get a ham radio license is not only did the ham radios come down in cost significantly, but also the tests, first of all, you used to have to memorize Morse code, and you don't have to do that anymore. And also, there are some great online resources, some really great YouTube videos, people that go through every chapter of the book, and they talk about what you really need to know, break it down, make it easier. So this is really amazing. So now is the time, if you've ever wanted to get a ham radio license, to get it, and you can get the communications. So I chose to be the communication specialist for my neighborhood, and then I will be able to relay that information to my fire department or my police, or even to a neighboring community. And I'm already on a ham net, so I practice every month to learn what I need to say and how I need to say it. So all of those things are really great. I hope that by listening to all of these 3 videos that I've made for you, you have a better sense of some ways that you can be prepared for an emergency or just day-to-day situations that come up, whether it's a job loss or any type of thing that may be a burden to your family or to a neighboring family. All right. Well, thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I will be posting some other videos on other topics very soon. Bye.